All right, after about 7 hours of driving, we're back. I've already separated the rocks into the tumbler pile and the cut pile. We're going to start working on the cut pile here in a few minutes using the Highland Park 10-inch trim saw. There are a lot of other options on the market. I chose this one just because of bang for buck. If it's still active, I'll have an affiliate link in the description below. Let's get started cutting. Some of these with some heft and some of the rough surface, this could be just a manganese nodule, but this also could be hiding a pretty good secret. A lot of these look nasty on the outside, and when you cut them open, they're pretty awesome. I already have one going in the oil saw, which we'll look at later, that is actually a pretty good surprise, but we'll cut these for now. Not that great. A little bit of color. It's okay though. Make a good yard rock. Oh, it's actually kind of a cool pattern in there, but not what I'm looking for. So another yard rock. This one we've got a little bit of a window on. So I'm going to take a cut just across the end there to expose what we might have. See, now we've got something. Now we're getting somewhere. Still not what I'm looking for though, so I'm going to set this aside and keep cutting. This is another one that looks like it was covered by manganese over time. You can see here, it's the jasper replacing the barite. So we're just going to clean this face up and see what we have. Oh wow, that's pretty nice. Still not what I'm looking for, so setting it aside and continuing to cut. See some jasper broken through, so I'm just going to whack it down the middle and see if we got anything. More than I expected. That's actually a pretty good pattern. Set that aside. We've got a winner there. So I'm going to clean this guy up. We're going to set it aside and we're going to finish it in the oil saw. Something similar here. I just want to check it out, see if we got anything in the middle. So we're going to just lob a piece off the end. Definitely a big chunk of jasper. Not sure how I feel about it. Maybe we got something better in there because you can see the red. We'll set this one aside for now. Just trying to get some of that face exposed to see what we're working with. We got some good color in there, but I've got some cracks, so I don't know about this one. We'll set it aside for now. We've got some color. Nice color. We're going to set that aside because I'll show you why later. Some kind of a purplish jasper. It's actually not too bad. We'll save that for later too. Example of those little bayrite radials that have been replaced with jasper. Got some agate right there. We're going to keep this piece and try something with it later. Again, I can see the radials coming off here. These are always kind of hit or miss on which way you cut them. I mean, ideally it would be down the middle, but it's a lot of cutting. Wow, that's actually not terrible. That's pretty good. We're going to keep that and use it. That's why I went ahead and slimmed it down. That's got potential. So not too bad, right? All right, judge with me. Do we have a winner? Because we have some agate right there in the middle. This one's pretty cool. So I'm going to cut a chunk out of that. So we're going to use this as well. That's actually pretty cool. That's what the other side looks like. But that's the side that I want to work. So cool. Got a few good ones so far. Oh, wow, that's kind of unexpected. Kind of cool. Little growths in from the side there. Yeah, we'll keep those two. Oh, we even got some red on that side. All right, we got something, folks. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. We clean that up, and we're going to save that for the other saw. That's how it's cooler. Yeah, we'll keep it. Maybe we can make something cool out of it. That's actually not too shabby, folks. And that's kind of cool. It's like purple with a red spot, but not sure. Not sure how far in that goes. Not sure it's worth another cut. Yeah, we got the saw going. Let's make another cut. Yay! Got a little more color there. Look at that. It was worth the cut. Let's do it again. Let's do it. I actually like that. I mean, okay, that's cool, right? Look at that. That's cool. Ah, winner. I don't know about this one. Yeah, no, not for me. Yeah, I don't know. I have something here. Hmm. Okay, that's all I'm going to cut on this. Going to clean up the jasper that we chose to keep. Go clean that up. The other ones that I'm going to cut on the bigger saw, I'm going to prepare those first. I'll show you that at another stage. Just because these, look at the color pattern, that's got potential. Unfortunately, there's a crack there. Hopefully it goes that way. But anyway, we'll cut those differently. And just while I've got you going here, I do have a cut already going on an oil saw. Show you what we're coming out of there with. That's pretty nice. That's what I'm after. I like that. Good cut of jasper. All right. I'm going to go clean up, and then I've got a saw to clean up, and then we'll continue. I did a little bit of a quick cleanup. There's still more to do. I'll come back to that later. The sun's setting and it's winter, so it gets cold. But the stones that I want to continue processing in the large saw, first I make sure the surface is fairly clean. Doesn't have to be perfect, but we don't want it. We don't want it wet. We don't want it caked in dirt. I'm gonna get a little friend here. I use just this JB weld. It says 4 to 6 hours. I always let it set for 24 hours. I go a little overboard with this because if this comes loose, it could destroy a several $100 blade. Squirt some of that on there. So by slicing the end off of this on the trim saw, it gives me a flat surface that I can glue to. Well, one, it lets me look inside the rock. Two, I think it might have potential. It gives me a flat surface to glue to. And I can stick some JB weld on there. Glue it to a board. That'll allow me to get every bit of rock out of that in the other saw, which I'll show you when we get to that point. The other thing this allows me to do too, I can change the orientation of the cut. That's important when it comes to things like some of the obsidians, like sheen obsidian that has a certain plane for the sheen. I can go to the trim saw, cut a flat face to orient my plane, glue it to the rock, and now every cut after that is on the plane that I want it to be. I do have some obsidian to cut. Matter of fact, here's an example of that. So I've oriented that piece of obsidian on a plane that I want to cut. And I try to use as much of the board as possible. So I've got some chrysoprase on the other side. Now I will put multiple stones on the same board. The drawback is whatever plane I choose, all the following rocks, they're stuck on the same plane or the same depth. But allows me to use more of the board. I don't reuse these after they've been cut because they soak up oil. I've tried to get the oil out to reuse the board, and I've had a couple of rocks fly off. It's just not worth it. That's why when I do this, I'll typically try to maximize how much I can get out of that board. We're all locked in and lined up. What this allows me to do is very accurately index the thickness of the rock using that adjustment there. So I end up with perfectly parallel slices at the thickness that I want. Very, very clean for capping. These stones this one looks really good on the inside. It's a good piece of jasper, so I want to see if I can get some good clean cuts out of that one. This one looks like it has potential. This one's a big maybe. I just had room on here, so I stuck it on here. But we're going to slab these up, and I'll show you the result. This results in a much cleaner cut than doing it in a trim saw by hand. Yes, I know it's messy. Saw's done cutting. I know it's messy. It needs a cleaning, but here's all of our slabs from where we had them glued on the board. This is still all the yellow cat stuff. I'm going to wash that up and then show you what